I want you to just picture this for a second. Imagine you're standing on a dock. The air is warm, it's thick with salt, and the water is that incredible, almost electric turquoise you only get in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
You turn around, and you're looking at 72 acres of, well, paradise. I mean, we are talking manicured palm groves, a huge main residence that looks like a fortress of luxury, cabanas, pools.
It's the ultimate escape for the 0.01%.
Exactly. But then you start to walk inland.
And that's where the dream starts to glitch a little.
Right. You walk past the pool, and you see this building, and it's painted in these aggressive blue and white horizontal stripes. It's got a gold dome. It looks, sort of like a temple, but there are no religious symbols.
No, just these strange golden statues that look almost like pagan idols.
Yeah, and you realize the landscaping is suspiciously high, like it's blocking sightlines.
Mm-hmm.
And beneath your feet, the ground is literally honeycombed with tunnels.
It creates this very specific, almost visceral kind of dread, doesn't it? Because on the surface, Little St. James was designed to look like freedom. But structurally, architecturally, it was all designed for containment.
Exactly. We are talking, of course, about Epstein Island. Now, look, I know what you're thinking. I know this story. I watched the documentaries back in 2020. I read the articles. But here's the thing.
You don't know the whole story.
Not anymore, because today is February 13th, 2026.
Mm-hmm.
A version of history we all had 5 years ago has been completely blown wide open.
Yeah.
We've spent the last few weeks just combing through the massive document dump from late 2025, the result of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. We're talking 30,000 pages of new flight logs, emails, court documents, stuff we did not have before. So the mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We're going to look at the new reality of the Jeffrey Epstein case. How did a math teacher become this global power broker? How did the legal system fail so catastrophically?
And what exactly is in these new files that stripped a British prince of his title just a few months ago? It's a lot to unpack.
It is. And I think the most important way to frame this conversation is with the idea of leverage. If you look at the old coverage, it focused on the perversion, on the crime itself. But if you look at these new files,
The focus shifts.
it shifts to the power mechanics. This wasn't just a trafficking ring. It was, in many ways, an intelligence-gathering operation.
So let's go back to the scene of the crime, that temple I mentioned. For years, the internet was just full of these wild theories about what was inside it.
Right. Elevators to underground layers, ritual rooms, all of it.
So what do the new police reports actually say?
Well, when the FBI raided the island back in 2019, they were expecting something, anything. But inside that blue and white temple, nothing. It was a shell, wooden floors, some exercise equipment stored in a corner. But the interesting part, which comes out on the contractor invoices that were released last December, is the intent. It wasn't religious. It was acoustic.
It was built to be a music room, at least in theory. But the placement is key. It was put at a high point on the island, painted in those jarring colors to draw your eye.
A distraction.
A total distraction. The psychological profile suggests it was a totem to disorientation. It dominates the landscape, so you don't look too closely at what's happening in the guest villas.
And then there are the tunnels. I remember people claiming the tunnel theory was a myth, but the blueprints, they don't lie.
No, they don't. The FBI confirmed the underground infrastructure. Now, to be fair, in high-end resorts, think like Disney World or luxury hotels, tunnels are common for staff.
Sure, you move laundry and food underground so you don't break the magic for the guests.
Precisely. But in this context, breaking the magic means something very, very different.
Yeah.
In the context of a trafficking operation, those tunnels let you move victims from the docks to the residence without them ever being seen by the other guests. It allowed Epstein to compartmentalize his life.
So you could have a Nobel Prize winner having dinner on the terrace.
Completely unaware that a crime is being committed 50 feet beneath them.
Yeah. That compartmentalization is terrifying.
Yeah.
And it brings us to the security system. Because if this was just a private getaway, why was it wired up like a casino?
That's the smoking gun for the blackmail theory. The new reports detail hardwired cameras in bedrooms, bathrooms, massage rooms. This wasn't security to keep intruders out.
It was surveillance to keep leverage in.
Exactly. If you have a senator, a CEO, or a royal in a compromising position and you have it on 4K video, you own them.
And that explains why he was so untouchable for so long.
Mm.
But there was another detail in that raid inventory that really creeped me out. The hormonal medicines.
That was a detail that baffled the initial investigators. They found caches of medication that Epstein just shouldn't have had. And we're not talking about Viagra.
Right.
We are talking about hormonal treatments often used for, let's just say, developmental manipulation.
That sounds like something out of a mad scientist movie.
It suggests the control wasn't just psychological or financial, it was biological. He was trying to curate every single aspect of the environment, including the people in it. It just removes that last shred of consent from the equation.
It's a total nightmare. But let's rewind the clock. Because the one thing that never really made sense to me, even after all these years, is the money. Jeffrey Epstein started as a math teacher at the Dalton School in the 70s. He didn't have a finance degree. He was a guy from Brooklyn. How do you go from grading algebra quizzes to owning a 75,000-acre ranch in New Mexico and a private island?
It's the ultimate fake it till you make it, but with a really predatory twist. He gets fired from Dalton, he lands at Bear Stearns, and he realizes something crucial about rich people.
Which is?
They're bored, and they want to feel special. He wasn't a financial genius, he was a social genius.
He charmed them.
He mirrored them, but the real leap happens when he meets Leslie Wexner.
The billionaire behind Victoria's Secret.
Correct. Wexner is the whale. In the 80s and 90s, Wexner is one of the richest men in America. Epstein manages to get close to him, and eventually he gets power of attorney.
Now, hold on. Power of attorney is a huge deal. That means he can sign checks, sell assets, move money without even asking.
Exactly. And the forensic accounting, which we finally have a clearer picture of thanks to the 2025 release, it shows that Epstein didn't just manage the money, he siphoned it.
Wow.
He moved hundreds of millions of dollars from Wexner's empire into his own shell companies. That's how he bought the townhouse in Manhattan, the largest private home in New York City. That's how he bought the Lolita Express jet. He built his kingdom with stolen bricks.
But he couldn't have done the trafficking part alone. You need logistics. You need a front. And that's where Ghislaine Maxwell comes in.
You cannot separate them. If Epstein was the bank, Maxwell was the brand. She was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, the British media tycoon. She had the accent, the pedigree, the Rolodex.
She made him acceptable in high society.
And she was the hunter. The sourcing in the new files reinforces this brutally. She wasn't just complicit, she was the primary recruiter.
The one who found the girls.
She'd go to art schools, movie theaters, even outside high schools. She used her gender to lower their defenses. You know, a woman approaching you feels safer than a man. She offered scholarships, massage training, modeling gigs. She groomed them, she normalized the abuse, and then she served them up.
It just makes you sick.
Yep.
And the worst part is, the system knew. We have to talk about 2005, because this is where the timeline splits from criminal gets away with it to government lets criminal get away with it.
The Palm Beach investigation.
Right. Courtney Wild goes to the police. She's a kid, basically. She's terrified, but she tells them everything. And the Palm Beach police, to their credit, they actually listen. They raid the house. They find the photos, the names, the flight logs.
They have him dead to rights.
Totally.
They did. In a functioning justice system, Jeffrey Epstein goes to prison for life in 2008. The evidence was overwhelming. State charges, federal charges, it was all there.
But instead we get what is now infamously known as the deal of the century.
It's still studied in law schools as just an anomaly. Epstein hires this dream team of lawyers, Alan Dershowitz, Ken Starr, giants of the legal world. They go to the U.S. Attorney, Alexander Acosta, and they essentially bully him. They threaten to drag everyone's name through the mud.
And Acosta folds.
He folds completely.
Okay, walk us through the terms of that deal again, because even though I know it, my brain just refuses to accept it.
So Epstein pleads guilty to a minor state charge of soliciting a minor for prostitution. He gets an 18-month sentence. But, and here's the kicker.
Yeah.
He gets work release.
Work release for sex trafficking.
He slept at the jail, but for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, he was allowed to leave, go to his office in West Palm Beach, and conduct business.
Unbelievable.
He could order lunch, see visitors. It wasn't prison. It was a mild inconvenience.
But the part that really matters for us today, in 2026, is the immunity clause.
The non-prosecution agreement. This is the legal black hole. The deal stated that the federal government would not prosecute Epstein or any potential co-conspirators.
That's blanket immunity.
Blanket immunity for unnamed people, yes.
That's insane. It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card for anyone he ever met.
It was unprecedented, and it effectively sealed the investigation for a decade. It protected Ghislaine Maxwell. It protected the associates. It put the truth in a cryogenic freeze until 2018.
And we have to give credit where it's due. The ice didn't just melt on its own. Julia K. Brown took a blowtorch to it.
Her reporting for the Miami Herald perversion of justice, is the reason we're even having this conversation. She tracked down the victims who'd been silenced. She exposed the Acosta deal. She shamed the Southern District of New York into reopening the case.
And Epstein was arrested on July 6, 2019. And this time, the judge said no to bail. He goes to the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the MCC, New York.
Yeah.
And it felt like the end. The trial was coming. Names were going to be named.
And then August 10th, 2019 happened.
The morning the cameras blinked out.
Look, I'm a stickler for facts. The official ruling is suicide by hanging. But the anomalies surrounding that night are just staggering.
He had just been taken off suicide watch.
Which is inexplicable for a high-profile inmate who had already tried to hurt himself weeks earlier.
And the guards.
2 guards assigned to check on him every 30 minutes allegedly fell asleep at the exact same time. And the cameras covering his cell
Malfunctioned. At the exact same time.
Yeah.
In order to be a conspiracy theorist to look at that and say, that is way too convenient.
It's statistically improbable. Whether it was a hit or just gross catastrophic negligence, the result was the same. The primary witness was silenced, and a lot of powerful people breathed a huge sigh of relief.
But they didn't count on Maxwell getting caught. She goes down in 2021, sentenced to 20 years. She's sitting in a cell in Florida right now. But that brings us to the present, to the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
And this is the shift. For years, release the files was a political chant. But in November 2025, the pressure just became too much. Congress passed the act with bipartisan support.
And they set a hard deadline, December 19th, 2025. Everything gets unsealed.
Yeah, it was a chaotic few weeks leading up to that. I remember Attorney General Pam Bondi making statements, politicians scrubbing their websites, but then the documents dropped.
8,000 pages.
And the contents were explosive. Let's start with the biggest domino to fall. Prince Andrew.
We knew he was involved. We knew about the Virginia Giuffre settlement, that $12 million payoff. But the new emails, they read like a bad spy novel.
The Invisible Man. That was the code name Ghislaine Maxwell used for him in her correspondence. The new files show her arranging logistics for the Invisible Man to visit the island, procuring girls specifically for his arrival. It destroyed his plausible deniability.
And the consequences were real this time.
Absolutely. King Charles had already pushed him to the margins. But in October 2025, after these specific emails leaked, Andrew was officially stripped of the title of prince. He is a pariah. And that's a direct result of these documents.
Then we have the presidents. Let's talk about Donald Trump first. This has been a huge talking point of the last election cycle.
It has. Trump always maintained he barely knew Epstein, that he banned him from Mar-a-Lago. But the flight logs in the 2025 release show a very different story. They confirm Trump was on the Epstein jet significantly more times than he admitted in the 90s.
The White House denied it, of course.
They called the logs fabricated. But the data points are there. Now, to be clear, and we have to be rigorous here, being on the plane isn't proof of abuse.
Right.
But it completely destroys the "I barely knew him" defense. They were in the same inner circle.
And Bill Clinton.
The logs confirm 26 trips, including international travel to Africa and Asia.
26 trips. That's not a casual acquaintance. That's a tour buddy.
Exactly. And the question is, why? Why is a former president flying around the world with a disgraced financier? The prevailing theory in the intelligence community, and it's backed by these new files, is that Epstein was collecting them. He wanted to be seen with them to validate his own power, and he wanted them in compromising environments to ensure their silence.
It just brings us back to leverage.
Always.
So we have 30,000 pages released. We have the Invisible Man emails. We have the flight logs. But here's the thing that really bothers me about this whole transparency victory lap everyone is taking. It's not over, is it?
Not even close. We've seen maybe 3% of the total archive. The FBI seized hard drives, servers, filing cabinets from the Manhattan townhouse, the safe in the Virgin Islands, the ranch. Estimates put the total page count at over 1 million.
1 million pages. So where's the rest of it?
Locked in a legal standoff. Right now, as we speak, there's a war happening in the courts. On one side, you have transparency advocates saying, the act says release everything. On the other side, you have an army of high-priced lawyers representing John Does.
And their argument is victim privacy.
Which is a very clever shield. Look, actual victims must be protected. Their names should be redacted, no question.
Of course.
But the suspicion, and it's a strong one, is that this argument is being weaponized to protect the perpetrators. If you can argue that releasing a document violates privacy, you can keep a senator's name redacted. You can keep a CEO's name redacted.
So we are fighting for the remaining 97%.
We are, and that's where the real secrets are. The 30,000 pages we got were the low-hanging fruit. The stuff that was already partially known or less damaging, the stuff they are fighting to keep hidden, that's the radioactive material.
Before we wrap up, I want to pivot back to the human side of this. Because amidst all the billionaire drama, there are real women whose lives were just derailed.
Yes, the Epstein Estate Victims Compensation Program did distribute about $121 million to over 100